defenders, I think, is like.
Roberto De Zerbi has admitted that Brighton will lose a couple of players. Good morning to you lot, people, deluded and all those things. Smash the like button. Make sure you're commenting when the video premieres and leave a comment at the end, people. Subscribe if you haven't. Let's get straight into it. Now, Brighton battered us. The Eagles shat on us. We got ripped. You know, they got our number at the Emirates, really. And they've, you know what, they've won the last 2 games we played against them at the Emirates. 3 in all comps, really and truly. Beat us in the league, beat us at home this season and last. But for what it's worth, you know, considering the Brighton chairman / owner was at the ground, so was Edu, so was the Cronkays. I hope, I'm probably wishful thinking, I hope that when the final whistle went, we need to, you know, we need to get this done really and truly. Anytime Arsenal Football Club play anything close to a physical midfield for a bunch of other reasons, we struggle. We saw it when we played Southampton with Lavia and the job their manager done. We obviously saw it against Brighton with what Roberto De Zerbi did with their man marking and playing it, watching the game again into the right-hand channels for Benjamin White, specifically Caicedo, who was more to the right-hand side. We saw it with Everton's Onana. We saw it with Declan Rice, West Ham a few weeks ago, months ago, whatever. We need to install some physicality into this team and have better options. Roberto De Zerbi has admitted Brighton will lose some players this summer and name-checked Caicedo and Alexis McAllister's potential departures. I would say, not that just me as a fan, McAllister 100% won't be a Brighton player. With Caicedo, I think it's 50-50. I think a couple of teams abroad should be looking at him. Paris Saint-Germain and Barcelona on top of all the Premier League teams linked with him. The Athletic reported last week that Man United and Liverpool are interested in McAllister ahead of the summer. As we know, Arsenal pursued Caicedo in the January window, but were unable to sign him. He has signed a new deal until 2027 with the option of another year. However, the Brighton manager said, we are working to become a big team. We are not a big team yet, but if you want to compete with a big team like Arsenal and qualify for Europe, we have to progress our mentality. Obviously, that means holding on to players. The players are the most important thing. I'm lucky to have players at this level. I'm working to give them my ideas and mentality, but without good players, you can't achieve good results. Brighton are doing fantastic. There's nothing I can say that you lot don't agree. Brighton are a fantastic club. You know, they've obviously got deep pockets with a lot of the sales. Now it's probably about retaining players and building on last season where they were great this year as well. And obviously for them, they're going to be in Europe, playing in Europe, whether it's Europa League, Conference League, Champions League, presents its own challenges. Brighton are doing amazing. De Zerbi, give it a week or so, he'll be linked with every other club. And the way Chelsea are going, you know, Brighton probably sell him to Chelsea for about 50 million. We will lose some players, maybe Caicedo or maybe McAllister. We need to bring in some other good players. For Mitoma and Estupiñán, they need to stay with us. I don't know if they're ready to play with big teams. You have to be ready in the head, and we can offer them the chance to improve. So specifically, he's said a lot, but said nothing, you know, at this moment in time. He's basically said Brighton are braced to lose McAllister and or maybe Caicedo. For Mitoma, probably another year or 2. For the left back, Estupiñán, I cannot pronounce his name, good player. He's saying that it's best that you lot stay. And to be honest with you, Brighton have shown they're difficult negotiators. And obviously the players, you know, you got one career. If they want to join a bigger club, it is what it is. But it's not like it's West Ham fighting relegation with Declan Rice. Brighton have a great project, great manager, great signings, going to be in Europe as well, building blocks. You get in 1 or 2 other players that are curtain raisers. Brighton could be bad news for the rest of the top 6 or whatever. So I think they have every reason to stay and every reason to want to leave, people. So we'll have to see exactly what's being said, people. And you have to big up De Zerbi as well, people, because he, you know, there was going to be they played with Steele, who looked like their first choice keeper. Sanchez is amazing. Obviously, Webster weren't in the team and they got on with it. You know, injuries happen. You have to find a way and a system around it, really. You can't just have a one-size-fits-all approach. Who would have thought that? Moving on, people. The Athletic, we've seen that article. Sorry about that. Again, when you look at what Paul Barber said, people, he said, no, we don't operate like that in terms of a release clause. We try and avoid things like that because they become such a point of discussion and negotiations that you spend hours and hours on something that may not happen. If it does happen, it might not be the right price at the right time. We know other clubs use them. That's fine. But it's not something we tend to get involved in. So we'll have to see what's going on, people, in relation to Caicedo, who's drawing interest from Arsenal, Man United and Chelsea. Obviously, they made it abundantly clear to Arsenal that they was not going to sell Caicedo in Jan. Why we're continuing to bid, I don't know. If we go back a few days ago, courtesy of Arsenal informer Manuel Serra, who is the agent, apologies, of Caicedo. Arsenal's a great team for everyone. Let's see what happens in the summer. There are many clubs keen on Caicedo. Caicedo has 4 years left on his contract. He's having an incredible season, so it's normal that many teams are interested in him. Now he's completely focused on the last part of the season. All evaluations will be postponed until the summer, rightly so. This is not a surprise because there aren't many other midfielders so young and talented around Europe. I believe he can really improve in every aspect of the game. He can slot into any team as he's ready for all. His dream is to play in the Champions League and to reach as far as he can in football. To be fair with you, don't think there's anything you can disagree with, really and truly. In probably predictable circumstances, with Arsenal's title challenges or the slim hopes of title challenges faded away, you know you was going to see talk of transfers, talks of war chests and all of these sort of things. Allegedly, Mikel Arteta is a bundle of energy, blah, blah, blah. They apparently specifically something in here, apparently just going through the waffle of the article, people. Arsenal's owners, Kroenke Sport and Entertainment, KSE, have full faith in Arteta, and co-chair Josh Kroenke was at the Emirates on Sunday. He went to visit Arteta after the final whistle and was accompanied by LA Rams head coach Steve McVay. Now, we're all part of the KSE collective with all the other sports franchises or clubs that they own. The Rams are KSE's NFL franchise, and as Arsenal look to go again next season, their story should give the club optimism about the future. Like Arsenal, KSE gambled by hiring a young coach in McVay back in 2017. He led them to the Super Bowl final a year later, and after falling short, was backed in the market with a number of established stars in 2021. As you know, the Rams won the Super Bowl. Hopefully that extends to Arsenal, really and truly. We need depth. We need depth. And I do agree with everything about running out of steam, about mental issues, about suffering the losses of Zinchenko and Saliba, but these happen, you know. Football has never been more about systems than it is today. You know, it's not really about individuals. Yes, there's great individual qualities, but football, definitely in my 28 years, has never been more about the collective and the system rather than the individuals. The individuals tie into it, but you get the point. We need a squad. If we want to compete for 38 games in the Premier League and however much in any competition we're in, we need a squad. We can't just rely on one player to the point where some players have been doing well, look a bit spent. Sometimes there isn't a plan B, and you saw it against Brighton. They man-marked us. They specifically did a great number on Jorginho, Xhaka, Odegaard. That's our nucleus of the team out. Zinchenko's not there, so it's irrelevant. And while we obviously miss the absence of Zinchenko, I'm not going to lie, he's a left-back. Anytime, bro, he's sick. But if we're crying that our left back isn't there to be able to connect midfield to attack and ultimately score, there's something wrong. And you need a plan B, really and truly. And we don't have that. Arteta has shown minor tweaks, but we don't have that. Even in the Brighton game, they're forcing us long. Now, Jesus is a fighter and he did well, but him against Lewis Dunk, come on now. Out of 200 rules, being kind to Jesus, he'll win about 5 of them in the air. He can take Lewis Dunk on with a ball at his feet, but that's food and drink. Dunk's about 7-8 foot. It don't make sense. And we've seen it time and time again, really and truly. We've conceded 25 goals at home. So why we miss the absence of Saliba? Saliba has been there. Saliba that would make an improvement in Arsenal's defence. But we're not a good defensive side. We're not one of the best defensive sides in the Prem. When we are that, then, you know, I think we'll be able to do serious things. You know, Newcastle have had some injuries in defence. Brighton as well. You never saw the absence. Saliba's injury, in my opinion, just highlights our frailties defensively. You know, Saliba's done well, but he's also made individual mistakes. Switching off from set pieces, transitional issues, you know, not marking, all the aspects that go into defending and game management, they've been there whether Saliba's there or not. So does Saliba's absence highlight the lack of, you know, mentality around defending and the lack of personnel? I think it does, really, rather than, you know, Saliba's not a messiah. And I think fans are a bit unfair in setting a man up to fail, really and truly, because he can't rectify it all. So, yeah, apparently they retain faith in him and they're ready to back him, allegedly. Apparently, Pochettino needs a miracle to keep Mason Mount at Chelsea with relations at an all-time low as Arsenal eyes 60 million transfer. For a player whose contract's running out, 60 million is a bit mad, really and truly. He was offered an extension by Chelsea and it hasn't worked and they're still in negotiations. I'm not too sure about, you know, Arsenal and Liverpool have been credited with an interest. I need to see specifically. It doesn't really say anything about 60 million. I just assume that's the asking price, which English tax or not, that exchange rate is crazy. We've been linked with Ferland Mendy as well, people, who seems that his days are numbered at Real Madrid. He gets injured too much. Good player, but he's far injured too much, really. And we've already got a lot of that. You know, the best trait you can have in modern football is availability. Historically, you know what, Xhaka, Saka, Gabriel, they're probably off the top of my head 3 ever-present players within Arsenal's team. You can't say that about Tomiyasu. You can't say that about Tierney. You can't say that about Zinchenko, being a bit harsh on him. You definitely can't say that about Partey. Pardon me, injuries happen. We have to cope with it. But we've been linked with him as his contract runs down and he is allegedly out of favour. Apparently, he would only cost 17.5 million, so it could be a cut price addition if Tierney was to leave. We've been linked with him, Kyle Walker-Peters, Fresnadar, a lot of left backs and right backs. So clearly we're going to probably be looking at something in that regards, but we'll have to see. Given how they negotiated Mudryk, journalist makes interesting claim about Arsenal and Declan Rice. We could be looking for a cut price deal for Declan Rice, allegedly. To be honest, I rate Declan Rice, but if any player at this moment in time is worth them sky-high fees, I think it's the man that's in this picture, Caicedo. I'm having both of them. I'm having either or. You know, we need to bring in a couple of midfield options. But allegedly, Rice can go. And we've known this for a long time that Rice can go. But it's going to be for quite a high price, which you also know. From 90 to 120 million. There are questions around whether or not the Big Six or Newcastle who are interested will go to that price, considering his contract. Arsenal have been cast as the most serious potential buyers, but given how they negotiated Mudryk and Caicedo in Jan, they're going to be shrewd in this. By all means, go after these players. Make sure you've got backup options. It's as simple as that, really and truly, in my humble opinion. Apparently, Arteta has spoken to Declan Rice, and we remain in pole position, says this journalist. Arsenal still remain in pole position for Declan Rice. They've had numerous contacts with the player. Even Arteta has spoke directly with him. It's put Arsenal in a privileged position. That's great. But you need to dot I's and cross T's and agree fees and then make people hold shirts if say they've always watched Arsenal growing up. Until that, anything can happen. And we've seen that already. However, they've not yet explored the economic aspect with either the player or West Ham, who until the end of the season have no intention to be involved in advanced talks with any club. So in terms of personal terms and a fee agreed, you're a long way away from Declan Rice becoming an Arsenal man, essentially. For what it's worth, Mr. Rudy Galletti said, after preliminary talks in January with Rice, with Arteta also involved, now Arsenal have started talks with West Ham, as first reported by this individual. Arsenal still remain in pole position, but let's pay attention to Liverpool on his track as well. Xhaka could be tempted to depart the football club, people, for whatever it's worth. I feel if Arsenal were to make a big midfield signing and invest a lot of money in a player like Rice or Caicedo, Xhaka might feel at this stage of his career he doesn't want to play second fiddle or lose out on the kind of minutes he was getting this season and probably since he's been at Arsenal. So I think there's an opportunity for clubs like Leverkusen to come in and make an offer. And depending on the sort of business Arsenal do, I think he might be tempted to take it for whatever reason. You know, Odegaard and Ansu Fati have been linked with swap deals, people. I don't believe this one bit, but according to reports in Spain, Arteta has asked Barcelona president João Laporte to facilitate a deal to bring Ansu Fati, who's 20 years of age, to the Premier League, and they're eyeing up Odegaard, which for a number of reasons, it does not make sense to sell Odegaard. Kulusevski, anyone? Apparently, people, you know, Kulusevski, 1 minute he's staying, 1 minute he's not. If for whatever reason Spurs don't want to take this, could he be an option at Arsenal? He's an Arsenal player. Away from that, and to round up this vid, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and offer your thoughts. Let's see. Barca are looking to swap Ansu Fati for Odegaard. Lol. We've spoken on Mendy. Sasha Boy of Galatasaray, who's another fullback and been linked with us. Allegedly, we've made contact. João Felix is interested in joining Arsenal on loan for next season. Us at United are fighting for RB Leipzig's 23-year-old French defender, Mohamed Simikan. We've joined the race to sign Cancelo. Ramsdale and Saka allegedly are close to signing new deals. There's been reports Zubimendi is close to joining Arsenal. He's come out and cleared the air and said he's happy at his current club. Several European clubs are interested in Reece Nelson as his deal runs down. We're interested in Ruben Neves, allegedly. This article says Xhaka has decided to leave Arsenal. Barcelona are willing to sell Rafinha. Juventus have joined Arsenal, Newcastle, AC Milan and Borussia Dortmund in the hunt for Ivan Fresneda. We're keen on Ferran Torres. Nelson has rejected the deal. We're ready to break the bank this summer, and we've identified Moussa Diaby as a top target. So again, the dream is free. The hustle is sold separately. You lot let me know what you lot think of that. Comment, like, subscribe, and the rest of it. Make sure you have a great Monday and a great week. Hope you and your loved ones remain in good health. Check out the other videos, including the ones that have been floating in this video. And stay blessed, stay safe. I'll see you lot again soon.
There's always just that active red flag, defending. I think it's like